welcome back. We now have all of our parts. We've got our acrylic, we've got our side, we've got our rail, we've got our dowel, and we have our base. So the next thing we need to do is all bring these together in one beautiful assembly drawing. So what we need to do is go to our piece of paper up in the top left hand corner, which is folded in the corner like a little bit, and we are going to, instead of creating a part drawing now, we're going to create an assembly drawing. Create a standard assembly drawing there. It's got to be a millimetre drawing. Now this is where we just place components in. So I'm going to bring in, the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the side. So I'm going to open that and it will be placing it in the drawing for me. And I've already done that a couple of times by accident. So I'm going to just right click and I'm going to rotate in the X direction just to spin it around. And I've brought it in and it looks right. I'm going to delete those because I've accidentally brought too many in. And the next thing we need to do is place our rail in, and the rail will probably also be the wrong way around, but I'm just going to rotate it in the, just keep spinning it around, Z direction, and we can then have our rail. Now the only thing here is we now need to move the rail into the housing accurately. So to do this, we need to use the constrain tool, and within the constrain tool there are two different functions. So select constrain. If you look here, just toggle between, we've got the flush and we've got the mate. The mate tool sticks things together and the flush tool flushes things. So what I need to do now is I want to move this. I'm going to select this face here. You notice I've just select that face there. The orbit tool is going to be very important to us here as we just try and find important surfaces within our drawing, and I want to mate it with that surface there. Now I hope you heard that lovely donk noise. When you hear that lovely donk noise, it's moved it in place, but the only thing it hasn't done is locked it, and the way you lock it, you must click apply. So I'm happy with that. Click apply. If you do not click apply, when you go down and do further constraints, things start overriding each other and they don't work out how you want them to. So that's in the right place. I need to do two more moves. I need to do another mate and I need to do a flush. So but I will just show you how things are working. If you look at that there is stuck. Those faces are stuck to each other on that plane, so I can move it across, but it's still stuck to it. The next thing I feel we need to do is have another mate. So let's go constrain, and we've got another mate in there, so I'm going to mate that face. I'm just going to orbit around, and I want to mate it to that inside face there. I've heard me donk, so I've clicked apply. And the next thing we need to do is bring in, we don't need to bring anything in, but what we need to do is the flush tool. I now want to flush that face with that face, and it's put it all together. I'm going to click apply. If you look at it now, if I just click escape, I move it around, that part will not move independently. It's now joined to that part, which is exactly what we want. So the next thing we need to do, we're going to place in the dowel. So I'm going to bring the dowel and open, and I'm just going to rotate it through the X direction just to get it in the right plane and move it in place. Now the good thing with anything that's cylindrical, or it will have a center axis, I know that the diameter of the hole is 8, I know the dowel is 8, so all we need to do is one move here rather than 3. So I'm going to click joint this time, and I'm just going to find the end point of that there, and it's selected the center axis there. And if I now use the zoom tool to zoom in, it's going to orbit around a little bit, and I need to find the end of that hole. So if you look at that, what's selected there, I could do it to the center of the hole or the end of it. So select the end of it. It's going to do it showing off here. It does a little animation for you, but I know it's mated to the end. It's mated, it's joined to the end of the hole. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit, and that is that part in place. So the next thing we need to do is I'm going to bring in the base. I'm going to place the base in. So okay, where's the base? There we are. Open, and I'm just going to spin that around until it looks good. And there we are. That is my base in there. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And we need to do some more constraints. I think the first thing we need to do is a simple mate. So I'm just going to, mate tool is the one that's active, so I'll click the base there. I'm going to rotate it around and I'm going to stick it to the bottom. So I'm going to select that face there, and I've heard the donk, so I must click apply. Superb. So I think we can now do this with 2 more moves, and that will be Align Beauties. The first one I'm going to do is a flush. I'm going to flush that face with that edge there. So we noticed it's flushed there. Important we click apply. And one more flush, and that should see that done. So I'm going to just click flush that face there with that face there and apply. In actual fact, it just needs one more move. No, it doesn't. That's completely the wrong size. Yeah, that's the wrong size, Mr. Aston. How did I get the wrong size? No, it's not. I can see what I've done there. And we can actually look at removing a constraint, because we need to, I know that's why it doesn't work, we need to remove a constraint. So I'm going to take off flush number 2. So you notice I'm going into my directory here. It's a good example of how we can remove things. Right click, and I'm going to delete that constraint, and I'm going to flush from there to there, and click apply. And if you look at that now, that is perfect, because the last thing we need to do is bring in the new side and the acrylic. So I'm going to call it a day there on this tutorial, and I hope you'll come back to see us finish it off. Thank you very much.